This episode of the Dan Le Batard Show with Stugotz is presented by DraftKings. DraftKings, the crown is yours.
Oh, yeah.
We only have an hour left and a post-game show to hunt down Jordan Schultz, a friend of the show, on verbally accosting Ian Rappaport at a Starbucks in Indianapolis. We need more information on that story. All of us are interested in what the accosting consisted of.
And now all the nerds at the NFL are all like posted pictures of the Starbucks. They're like, I'm doing investigative work here. Like, oh, I'm going to get down to the bottom of it. They're all like, oh, I'm in Indy too. Look, I'm at the Starbucks. I'm so jealous of them. I want to be there.
Do you? Have you ever been?
No, I've never been to the Combine, but I watch it on TV every year.
Everyone that goes says it's fun.
It's all about what happens after hours, right?
Yeah, the drinking.
Exactly.
Yeah. St.
Or
Elmo's.
I like to
Starbucks.
drink.
Well, I believe this story, the Jordan Schultz, Ian Rappaport story, was broken by PFT from Pardon My Take. I believe he was the one, isn't that the one that ended up spreading? I'm thinking.
I saw the story that Florio wrote initially, but it may have been maybe the other PFT.
All right, well, let's find out. Let's find out whether it was the real or the fake PFT that broke the story of the Combine.
We are primed for a great find here for Dan if it's the actual PFT.
What is it about media fights that makes this something that everyone is interested in? When I told you yesterday that some of the news that came out of the scouting combine, because the information people are gathering with the football people, this is a partial list of the news that came out yesterday, that Jamar Chase is going to be the highest paid non-quarterback in the league. This turned out to be refuted, that Gronk was making a comeback. Gronk is denying that, but the Raiders might trade up for Cam Ward.
Is this Don't Look Now? What's happening right now?
The Eagles were going to try and get in on Myles Garrett. Is Don't Look Now?
Hey, are you looking, pal?
Stop looking.
Are you looking?
You gotta stop.
I didn't know that Don't Look Now was just football information.
No, Don't Look Now is mostly football information. At least that's how it's been grandfathered in. And if you're trying to jump in and talk right now as an ensemble cast, know that I cannot see you whatsoever.
I guess we're doing Don't Look Now, even though that's not what I thought we were doing.
We're all not looking, but Dan still is. So he needs
Okay,
to stop.
I will stop looking.
Just waiting for Chris to hit the music.
No, that's good. There's no music.
There's
Just
no
go
music?
ahead. Yeah.
All right, you tell me when to go.
Go ahead.
Why don't you just hit the Duval sound?
Are you looking?
No.
All right, no one look me in the eye. Dan, this is very easy for you. Because
Your
I know
eyes aren't showing.
Don't look now, but there is all sorts of confusion as to what's going to happen with the number one pick. Abdul Carter may have to get surgery now. Now, there was all sorts of whispers and smoke, rumor, and innuendo out of the Combine that he was positioned to be the number one pick, especially when you saw the Landry news. But now, with this injury and potential surgery, don't look now. But Cam Ward may actually be the number one pick.
Confirmed.
That's a good look. That's a good Don't Look Now.
Dan, what would you do with this number one pick? Because this is one of the more complicated number one picks that I can ever remember. There's no consensus number one. It's not a great quarterback class, but we can all agree that Cam Ward is atop it. I know you're a big Cam Ward guy. You have a unicorn that can play on both sides of the ball, and you have a prototypical number 11 from Penn State pass rusher. Those always seem to work out.
Answer while not looking.
Isn't it a bad draft? I mean, the top 10 is good, but doesn't it then get weak after
There's
that?
no such thing,
It's
except
a
for that one time, 2018. Kind of rough. But other than that, there's no such thing.
It's
Well-
a bad quarterback draft, no doubt.
I thought it was a bad draft in general. Did I not hear Adam Schefter say the other day that what you get at number 10 is usually what you'd get at number 35? Isn't that what I just heard Adam Schefter say?
Don't look now, but Mike isn't talking into the mic.
Don't look now. But Andy Dalton has re-signed with the Carolina Panthers. What? And it's a nice insurance policy behind Bryce Young, but do we have confidence that the Bryce Young that we saw at the tail end of the season is the real Bryce Young? I mean, I like this as an insurance policy, no doubt, guys, but I'm curious to hear your thoughts.
Is it okay if I check my watch while Mike is talking, since he can't look now?
Well, he's off mic and he's looking in the wrong place.
Well, I can hear it, so I'm sorry. Thank you for correcting.
Don't Look Now. It's presented by Smirnoff, the world's #1 vodka. Please drink responsibly.
Don't look now, but Eric Bedard has been on like 40 line combinations for the Chicago Blackhawks, and I'm pretty certain he may not be good anymore.
I'm not going to look at
This
that,
guy
but
the left-handed
I do want to look at the draft thing.
Did I call
20
him Eric Bedard?
You did.
Oh,
Yeah, you did.
Connor Bedard. Oh, I'm sorry. It's a Canadian thing.
I've
Thought
done
you-
that too.
Thought you were doing like a Lady Gaga bit, so I just kind of let it go.
Sorry.
2013 was the draft of the last 2 decades that is considered not the best. Not the best. But this one maybe, but I'm not looking.
Don't look now. But Anthony Richardson and the Indianapolis Colts may be headed for a breakup. Wow. The GM was non-committal, and Kevin Clark had a report today from the combine. Had a report today from the combine that they may not be able to fix these issues between these two.
Anthony Richardson has played like what? College and pro, 20 total starts. How many total starts does Anthony Richardson has before?
Don't look now.
I'm not going to look, but I am going to look at my texts because PFT commenter confirmed he did break the story.
Oh wow! How
Dan
about
was
that?
right.
Thank you. One of my 3 favorite words.
Don't look now. But there is a.
I think we got it, Mike. Thank you.
Yeah, we do have it. Let's check in with some
Rodgers
podcast.
might be going to the New York Giants.
Don't listen now either.
Let's go to some podcaster on podcaster crime here. We've got 2 very good podcasts that may or may not be feuding with each other. It is what it is with Cam and Mace. And you've got Shannon Sharp and Ocho Cinco have Nightcap. And so let's play the sound of Cameron going after Ocho Cinco in a way that caught some people off guard yesterday.
I don't really with Chad Ocho Cinco, to be totally honest with you. He all right, but at the end of the day, when we started this show, the was hating from the very beginning. We started the show. We was doing very well. It was very successful. We didn't have no deal, no sponsors or nothing. We was doing this off the muscle. He comes out of nowhere talking about, yeah, I'm going to get myself back together and I'm taking Cam's spot. Why the you got to take my spot? Because you talking about you've been a football player your whole life. Now because I'm doing sports, you come and take my spot. And at that particular time, we had only been doing the show about 2.5 months, 3 months. But that's how much of an impact that I had that felt threatened, you know what I'm saying? Then after that, we tried to call him, shout out to my Bob knows some he know. I tried to give him a job. He like, yo, talk to my agent. I said, I'm talking to you now. What I don't do business like that. I talk to my agent. See, you so dumb you can't even speak for yourself, stupid. I tried to offer you more paper than you probably get now. Ask Mark Jackson how he got paid. Ask Mike Irvin how much he got paid. Ask them if they was living lovely off the checks me and Murder was sending them. Ask them. I bet you ain't getting paid the money that Mark Jackson and Mike Irvin got paid working with us. I don't know this for a fact, but ask Mike Irvin and ask Mark Jackson if they get paid lovely. And if I threaten like you, this is why you going to do the you doing. Telling Stephen A about getting your piece. Yo, I don't like you. I don't like you. I don't like your con. Your whole style is made, and I don't with you.
That was. What did he mean by that?
That was smoke.
Want some popcorn? No?
Oh my God.
We don't have enough beefs around here. We only do Gary Furman. It's a That's legitimate beef.
Is that why you try to make us beef with each other all the time?
Yeah, that's what he wants.
You love beef.
I don't need to make you guys beef. You guys beef naturally. Yesterday's my note-taking was interrupted by Jeremy, who's the nicest among us, shouting at Fuentes, "You're a short-sighted moron."
That's right. I was also talking about Mike. This Mike. So much popcorn on my back right now.
Don't look now.
Is this Dan's special popcorn?
It is not.
Oh.
Wow.
Better.
What? How dare you? How dare...
Chris has so much popcorn in his hood.
Burn. Let me put my hood on. Let's see how this goes.
How dare you accuse me
none.
blasphemously of producing that particular popcorn? You'd know it was mine. It would be sprinkled with all sorts of mysteries and magic.
I can't eat popcorn this early in the morning.
You can't?
Mike, get away from the computer, please.
Yeah, Mike, just, you're all tangled up.
Nope, it's not time for a good. Turn it up.
Mike, you can look now.
What's happening?
Here is something we like to call straw man. He's that guy.
Mike, get back in your place, man. You're just fouling up everything with your
You were
don't
supposed
look
to
up
tell him
thing.
he could. Don't look now.
Were we supposed to release him from Don't Look Now? I don't know. I don't know how this bit works. I don't know what it is.
I have no other cues to take. You're gonna have to say it.
It's not Interview with a Vampire. What do you mean we have to release you?
I release you.
Can you guys tell me whether or not you met yesterday's news of the NFLPA polling of franchises that treat their employees best with a yawn when we celebrated it when the Dolphins were winning and Mike McDaniel was turning things around? But when you get the reports that yesterday, for the second year in a row, the Vikings and the Dolphins are the two teams that treat their employees best. It felt like a more charming story when everyone liked a little bit more what Mike McDaniel and the Dolphins were doing. Now they're under some pressure and heat, and it lands as if like maybe he needs to treat the employees a little bit worse.
I mean, the flip side is the Chiefs having like low ratings and ownership for the last couple of years, but they've won several Super Bowls and been in 3 back to back to back.
They like Andy Reid. The Chiefs, what's funny about Andy Reid and the Chiefs is that overall as an organization, the Chiefs get very bad grades that are comparable to Woody Johnson's, but everyone loves Andy Reid. So they're putting all of the fault elsewhere, none of the responsibility on the guy who's responsible for creating the culture.
This is like Ian Carmel, the comedian. He has a stand-up special that's out now, and in it he talks about all the countries that gave us the best dumplings also have a history of fascism. So it's the same thing. It's like all the organizations that give us great traditions of winning also treat their employees like shit. Maybe that's a prereq. Who knows?
Really? You guys think that you guys are going to do correlation, causation? What are you guys going to do with the idea of, because Belichick notoriously, darkness. It was dark and cold. Everything Patriots was dark and cold. You're going to make a link. I guess I could probably do it in football. Maybe I can make a link between the amount of discipline, the amount of iron fist that the players are getting. But I would assume that most players wouldn't like to play under, conditions that make it so that Woody Johnson is getting an F, or we're talking about just amenities that feel minor league in some of the instances. In some of the instances, the employees are saying, this doesn't feel like it's professional. It doesn't feel like it's major league. It doesn't feel like I'm at the top of my business.
It's weird, Dan, because I've often thought about organizations that have a lot of resources tend not to operate as efficiently. And it's terrible because I hated working for an organization that was cheap and cut corners at every single turn. But I also recognize on some level, man, they made us really, really good at squeezing every last drop of blood out of a stone, right? And I think there is a balance between you got to give people the tools to do their job, make an environment that's healthy, while at the same time, not lavish people with greatness, because at the end of the day, we're talking about paying the ultimate price, right? The ultimate price is you miss Christmas, you miss Thanksgiving, you miss holidays, you miss birthdays. I can't remember. There was a general manager who told me, I said, he's a guy who had a lot of kids. And I said, how do you manage it? And he said, honestly, one of the things we do is that we don't have anniversary dates. We have weeks. So at any point in this general vicinity, we're going to celebrate this. It's not going to be on that particular day, because otherwise, if we're staying hard and fast with the day, honey, this is our wedding anniversary, honey, this is your birthday, whatever, then I'm going to miss a lot of them.
I'm shocked by what Amin is saying. He is basically saying that in order to win, you've got a better chance of winning in sports if you're an asshole to your employee. That's what he's saying. Well, that is what you're saying.
More than that, Dan. Much more dastardly than that. You have a better chance of winning if you're an asshole to your family. If you are not a good spouse, not saying carousing and stuff. I'm saying inattentive and you're so ingrained and focused on this right here that it makes you not very supportive. You miss the kids' play. You miss this, whatever. That's probably going to lend towards success.
I'm going to text my wife this clip.
So if this is, right, if that's your starting point, if you're like Bill Belichick and say, I don't do birthdays, I don't do anniversaries, this is the life, right? This is the life I chose. It's easy for him to say that, but then the rest of the organization follows suit. I remember a long time ago, someone I worked with the Suns said, look around. Everybody here is married. And he said, you know what that is? I said, well, no. I said, well, because Jerry's married. Now, there was another organization at the time where the guy at the top was not married. And you said you could go through the whole front office. None of those guys are married. Because the thing is, you can't say, well, it's my wife's whatever, when everyone else is like, well, we're here, we're working. That's the ultimate price we're talking about.
I think anywhere I find competitive people and excellence, I'm going to find a lack of general balance.
Yes.
I think I'm going to find a whole bunch of people who are lopsided. It is very difficult to compete against everybody who's super competitive at being excellent when they're doing things that give them life balance and you're consumed by your job every day. But I'm talking about two different things there. I'm not talking about life balance. You're actively saying, you're saying that there is a link. I'm going to win more if my employees have to make sacrifices that make them feel unappreciated in their environment because, say, the amenities in the kitchen are less than the Dolphins or the Vikings have.
I'm saying that the things that we call a bad place to work, sometimes it's, oh my God, my boss treats me like shit. And then sometimes it's just, oh, we didn't have Thanksgiving Day off. And I'm like, yeah, because we're playing on that day. That's why we didn't have it off. And if you're going to be someone who holds on to those things, because a regular person, a normal person, does have those flexibilities, it would make for a place to work, but also, in the words of Paul Abdul, maybe this isn't the place for you.
Well, this is also why like sports is such a different thing than so many other industries, because ultimately, like, most of the most successful individuals that we've ever seen in sports are also like giant assholes, right? Like Michael Jordan is not necessarily known as like this kumbaya, super cool to hang out with type of guy. He's also someone who had to be pretty miserable through the experience of being one of the greatest in the world. Because even though you're being lavished with praise and money, you know, we've seen all the videos that came out in The Last Dance and otherwise where he's talking about how miserable it is to be Michael Jordan. So this is, whether it's organizationally or individually, you're dealing with people who, if they're that competitive to be the very greatest, are probably also kind of.
So in a weird way, this conversation ties together this whole show today, because Michael Costa tells us about that misery of rooting against someone's success, right? Timothy Chalamet talking about, I want to win this. I want to be known as one of the greats. And that place all coming together. Right behind Jeremy is a cardboard cutout of Pat Riley.
It's cardboard?
Oh, it's a statue, excuse me. Pat Riley, I remember talking these years and years ago, the video coordinators in Miami, where I was like, hey, you go out? It's like, no, I gotta get back, because Pat calls the office line in the video room at 6 a.m. to make sure they're in there. And I said, but it's August. He says, it doesn't matter, right? If that is your workplace, Dan, does that sound like a cool place to work, great work-life balance?
No.
But if I ask you, any organization in this league, regardless of the talent on the court, the way they run it, who runs the most championship culture organization in this league? You'd point to the man behind Jeremy right now.
Well, but this is the thing, though, that I, later in life, okay, as I have spent a lot of time examining where it is that I've been competitive and discarded some of the things later in life that I think I had backwards on how competitive I should be. I have talked to so many athletes and coaches, and a regret I hear all the time is, I wish I'd enjoyed it more while I was doing it, because I was so threatened by the number of people around me who were coming after and wanting the same things and were talking about my livelihood and feeding my family that I couldn't enjoy it. And now you're sitting here, you're attaching it to winning. You're saying the worse I treat the employees, the better off I am as a team, the more likely I am to have success. You're making it a correlation. You're making it causation.
I'm not saying that. I'm saying many of the things that make you successful would be to normal people unacceptable as a work environment.
And I would argue that that might be shifting. That's the history of this. That's the history of this, because those types of things and how you motivate an individual that you need to succeed is generally changing. We've seen it with some of the, entitlement, for lack of a better word, that we talk about with some of these young individual stars. How do you motivate the people in your workplace? That's shifting, obviously, in workplaces like this and elsewhere. But in the sports avenue, it is shifting ever so slightly, and that's why when you find guys like Cooper Flagg that we talk about as these competitive asshole maniacs, everyone salivates over them because that mold of person is also shifting.
Well, let me ask you guys this as it relates to our environment, because we've been talking about for a couple of weeks here. I thought you guys wanted a loose rein. I think most people listening to this would think that they would want to work in this environment, but this environment has a general lack of consequences. I'll give you one example, okay? I've been saying for I don't know how many years now that I would like people to wear costumes and...
Oh, you're talking about this environment?
And well, I'm talking now
Us?
about this environment. Yeah, I'm talking now about what makes people successful and an absence of consequences. I assume that if tomorrow, and this would be funny, it would be a funny way, if I fired somebody for the first time and the reason was not wearing a costume, I imagine that then people would then wear their costumes and the audience would get the payoff from the grid of death punishment. But
I also imagine a lot of people wouldn't want to work here.
Agreed. But it would be better. It would be better as a show if we got the costume.
That's my point.
It would be better as a show if we got a costume,
That's right.
but let go of an employee.
It doesn't matter if Chris Cody's kid has health insurance anymore. You should have just
correct.
dressed up that day.
That is correct. But the show would be better. To Amin's
Would not
point.
be better if we lost Chris
Nope.
Cody.
No, the show would be better if that day costumes were worn, and then the show would get better every time costumes are worn. I'm saying that Amin's point on this one would be, yes, people would like to work here less, but you might get a better result on consequences and accountability because we do have those problems here. They're legion.
What's the price you want to pay? That's what it comes down to. What price are you willing to pay? And ultimately, I'm talking from sports. I don't know from a media company because I don't even know what wins or losses.
Well,
are
don't you?
for us.
It's the argument to have is, do you get better results from your employees if you make it a nice, comfortable place to work, or if you make it an uncomfortable place to work and you're results oriented? I know, Jessica, I understand what you're saying. It's the environment that I've pledged myself to. But
how comfortable and nice do you think the environment is? Like, maybe there shouldn't be a conversation for on air, but I would argue that you think it's a lot more comfortable and nice from your vantage point than a lot of us do from ours.
but when it comes to costumes, this one's pretty simple. Like that.
I'll give you costumes.
Well, don't you worry,
I will
Dan.
give
We
you
have a
that.
plan in place for costumes every other week
Did you
until we
ask
get
for-
to football season.
Did you ask for anything yesterday?
That's a good question.
Executed immediately.
Yeah, look at us. Pat on the back. Thank you.
Are you saying don't look now, but costumes are coming?
Is that what's being alleged? For the first time now, costumes are coming?
By the way, I just want to point out something for the audio listeners that in the middle of this very serious conversation we had, Mike started looking behind Pat Riley because he wanted to see if there was a Steve Kerr statue behind him.
We cut away from it right when he got to it.
Oh, you want to ruin the show with this already?
Oh my God!
We only
man.
have like 15 minutes left. You want to get into it?
Legitimately loud because he put on the "Don't Look Now" blindfold and just started bumping around back there.
Lewis just said Lewis just said in my ear, maybe set up the bit correctly. Also, hostile work environment. That's just the commentary that I just got in my
Maybe
ear.
some accountability. You got preview screens, pal.
I heard what Amin said, and I wonder. I know that the audience, you've heard me say before, sports fans want their team to be run by the boss they themselves would not like to have. And Amin is telling you that basically, the more miserable the work environment, the more likely I am to get the results that I want in sports.
I'm not saying that. I'm saying some of the things that will be asked of you, many people would consider to be miserable. Now, I work for Steve Kerr in Phoenix. Steve Kerr is not a taskmaster, right? He is a people person. He's a great motivator, great leader. And as a result, I worked a lot. I worked like 15-hour days, and I never complained about it. And I worked every single day. I think there was a stretch of like, I want to say 800 days in a row I came to work in one shape or form or fashion. it wasn't because Steve Kerr was like, you'll get fired if you don't, but it is because I understood it to be, this is the cost of doing this, right? This, you want to be a part of this thing and you want this thing to be successful. This is what is expected of you. Now, I'm like, this is great. I work with Steve Kerr. I work with Alvin Gentry and David Griffin, all these great people, and Steve Nash and Grant Hill. I'm living my dream. But I know I could, holy scared the out of me.
It would be better if he didn't interrupt you while you were talking, but continue.
It could have hit Dan first there.
But you can't see, so.
Oh, that's true. That's a good point. Don't look now. But
is he still tied to the headset
How long
in the
is
other
his
room?
cord?
That cord is going to break and hit someone in the head. Like that cord cannot be this long that it allows him to be stuck to things. Is it still interfering with your board over there?
You don't get the show.
Is it still knocking over buttons and stuff? You were saying.
What I was saying was, Dan, as I described that life to people, I know there are plenty of people who are like, that's ridiculous. What do you mean 800 days in a row? What do you mean 15-hour days? What do you mean? And they can't accept that. It's like, I would hate working there.
It doesn't make sense that he would be standing over there and knocking over the Tony music, I don't think.
It is time now for a weekly update on our favorite team.
No.
How deep are we digging for these sounds? Because some of these sounds I have not heard in years.
White woman.
All right, we need to stop doing that. It's long past annoying.
Mike, you need to look now.
Yeah, you need to.
I release.
Are we going to get Jordan Schultz? Because he was a friend of the show and now he's running away.
Being told Monday.
It's a little late. Yeah, we don't.
If it's Monday, it better be an exclusive.
Everyone's going to have fed at that particular trough by Monday.
Well,
that's not going to do us any good.
To be fair, he's at the combine, so it's a little harder for him to like get loosed in order to do a hit. But yes, I'm with you guys. That would suck if you gave it to PFT, for example, who is there. Maybe we should have someone there. Jessica, how fast can you get to the combine?
I can get you Charles McDonald right now.
Jessica, you articulating an envy that everyone is at St. Elmo's in Indianapolis at an event that, what is the fun that you're getting off of this event that I'm not seeing? Is it just being around the whiff of football?
I'm just getting FOMO. I'm getting text messages all night with updates on this silly story, and I wish I was there to gossip about it in person.
Do all of you wish that you were there? The scouting combine is something that fills you with yearning and oogling?
Also, I want to see O-lineman on Sunday.
I'd like to go once. That'd be cool. Check out the scene.
The reality, Dan, is that they go out and they get hammered every night, right? And it's a very collegial atmosphere where you have all of these people. We all cover the same sport. We all know, like, it's kind of like their version of Summer League, I guess. You go out and you drink every night, basically.
The thing that when did Armstead, Teron Armstead, the Dolphins left tackle, when did he run at the combine? Was it would have been, I guess, probably 10 or 11 years ago. I don't know what his height and weight is, but he ran a 4.71, which I think remains the fastest time an offensive lineman has ever run at the combine.
He is listed at 6'5", 304 pounds.
The scouting combine produces a lot of athletic freak numbers. Was it Worthy who had the fastest 40 time in the history of the combine? Because these guys have gotten so good at the mechanics of running the 40 well or testing well, whether it has anything to do with football or not.
4.21 seconds was that record, but this was just brought up. Did you guys see Pac-Man Jones with McAfee the other day? Pac-Man's almost 40 years old. He ran like a 4.540. 4.51, I want to say. That's insane. For a 40-year-old who has been through that sport and had the beatings that he's had, to be able to just get up and say, yeah, I can run almost a 4.40.
From the numbers that we just discussed, I don't know if the most stunning thing in any of the numbers is the fact that the fastest combine time ever is Worthy's, and that half a second later is when Armstead finishes the 40-yard dash as a left tackle. that the difference in speed between the fastest guy in the sport and the fastest guy testing at the combine and a left tackle is half of a second.
I mean, a half a second is like an hour at the 40-yard dash, but
You think that any of us could come within a half second of 4.71 of what Armstead is running? Like, to hear an offensive lineman at 4.71 is a total insanity.
By the way, he also has a 34.5-inch vertical jump. I mean, that is kind of insane for an offensive
Can we
lineman.
play the sound, please, of Mike McDaniel talking this week about what it is that the Dolphins need? Because the idea that the Dolphins are still, after I've spent this entire century listening to the Dolphins talk about how they have to improve along the offensive line.
I'm excited because I think we have a tangible opportunity to improve, and that starts in free agency with a couple of, guys that we have targeted that you think that you can get a deal done with them. And that continues into the draft. I think this is it's a very good time to have, some need, and we have, it's time for us to invest in that position, excited to. And that can come, I would expect it to surface itself in both free agency and the draft.
man, it's so funny how he rubs me the wrong way now. Like, I used to love hearing him talk, and now it just annoys me. I have heard this from him and the GM every offseason for the last 5 seasons. It's like, oh, we got options in free agency. We're going to look at the draft. Yeah, no, but you actually get someone, though, this time. It's always this statement, and then they spend a 3rd-round pick on a guard that stinks, and that's all we do.
We knew this shtick would get old. We all knew one day you're not going to find this guy so cute.
God, was he charming at the beginning.
We got there.
I just got there in this clip. Like, I'm telling you, before the clip, I was still good with McDaniel. During that, I'm like, I've heard this for 5 years. Done with it.
He's not coming to Heat games anymore, huh?
No, not
Remember
as
he
much.
used to come. He was the belle of the ball, sit courtside.
You guys know how all this stuff is copycat in that league. We've talked before about how innovation ends up being something that is forced upon the league because somebody is a front runner. The Philadelphia Eagles just sort of changed how people win at football, correct? Like, I understand that this has been true since the beginning of time, but we had a space age movement to all the young coaches, all the guys throwing quick routes and scheming, and then they go back to, no, we're just going to maul you. We're just going to maul you with our offensive linemen, and we're going to have Sirianni do it, and we're just going to, Saquon Barkley is going to run down your throat. Does this mean that we're going to go now to watching teams try to out offensive linemen everybody? Because one of the big news items that came from the league, from the scouting combine, was a team has complained about the tush push. A team wants it banned. And then Diana Rossini reported that team is the Packers. The Packers have said that they don't want that play to exist in the sport. The Eagles and a lot of people say, if you don't want us to run the play, stop it. But I'd argue the tush push is bad for that sport. I would argue I don't want my customers to be entertained by 4 scrums a game when I've only got 11 minutes of action and 4 of them are going to be stupid rugby scrums that not only can injure people, but are just, we are going to try and get 6 inches because you can never stop us from getting 6 inches. That's not entertaining. It's not, if what you care about is made for television product, that is not something your customers are going to like.
I'm going to be the football ignorant person in the room. A, how often does that happen? B, how many teams are actually good at it? We know the Eagles are good at it, but is there anyone else?
The Bills.
No, not. I mean, the
Bills,
they do it.
Bills are really good.
Well, they lost. Their season ended because they weren't good enough at it at the end.
Mm-hmm. Well, teams were stopping it, especially in the playoffs. Kansas City had success stopping it against Buffalo. Washington had success, and it gave us a very memorable repeated offsides in which the referee was threatening them. But they had success within that game, made Philadelphia uncomfortable and do different things. Ultimately, I think that the league's just got to get better at stopping it.
Okay, what can you outlaw? The pushing behind a player? Because a quarterback sneak you can't take out of the game.
Did you think Goldberg's streak was bad in WCW? Because this is an unstoppable thing, and the second that someone's going to stop it in a crucial moment, you're going to be thankful for this narrative going into that moment.
Right, like it's this crazy unstoppable play because they're so good at it and they practice it a lot. Right.
You,
So, like,
you say it's unstoppable, but it's been stopped.
for
and
the
it,
Eagles.
but no, but they have also been stopped. I understand that they're exceptional at it and they don't get stopped very much. I'm just talking about what is entertaining and what's not entertaining. Already, you've got too many of these games are 1917. Already, there's too much. There's been a reworking that makes the defenses, they've caught up some to the offenses.
But they're running this on like 4th and 1, so it's like, okay, yeah, maybe it's not entertaining, but a 4th and 1 handoff for a 1-yard gain, that's not the most entertaining play either.
Oh, but they've been doing it for a while now.
You're longing
on
for
3rd and
fullback
2.
dive. You're longing for fullback dive. Like they just found a creative way to do something we always saw. The Tom Brady was unstoppable at the quarterback sneak.
I would agree with you if they did what I've wanted them to do forever, which is do it the whole way down the
All
field.
drive.
Like 3 yards
All
at a
drive.
time.
Yeah.
Tush push, tush push, tush push, first down. Tush push, first down.
All breaks, no
all the
gas.
way to the end zone.
And then is there a play action for tush push you could do and just go deep, like 50 yards?
You say that, but it's how the Eagles played this year. Like it's metaphorically, like the way that they played this year was Saquon's going to do that.
Saquon, tush push. Saquon, tush push.
And so I'm asking you, every year you've seen
Don't look now, play action.
you've seen reactions
What?
to actions in that sport.
Someone said the magic words.
He's back, baby.
I didn't want him back.
Oh no!
I
He's
didn't.
bumping into the thing again.
I don't want
I
Mike
hate this
wandering
bit.
around.
It's very like he's giving me Count Orlok, and I don't like it.
Time now for Guillermo.
You must bounce on it.
That TikTok.
Crazy style.
Someone
He
get
is
him.
on right now.
Where is he in the? He's in the kitchen now.
He's in the eating area.
Oh no, I just hear people screaming out there.
They're running out of the way because he's just bumping into things. Thankfully, we don't have an oven.
We have hot plates.
We do have hot plates, and it's around lunchtime too. Oh, remember that?
Just empty it. Empty the clip. I got 20 seconds of show left, and I couldn't do anything with offensive lineman. He wants to wander around.
Gotcha.
He just fell.
I'm going to fire somebody today. I am. I'm going to fire somebody, and watch everybody will be wearing costumes.
And Stugatz was right. Holy Stugatz was right.
Look out.
Look out. It's Thursday Thunder. It's presented by DraftKings. DraftKings, the crown is yours. Juju, go ahead.
Yes, sir. Thursday Thunder, you dig it. You got to know. We always one leg away, you dig it. But this Thursday, we going full force, man. We going to start off with Air Gordon himself, the guy who was cheated out of a slam dunk championship himself. We going over 13.5 points with him tonight because he going to Milwaukee. And them boys got a lot of points to prove right now. They a lot of chatter about who the best in the West. I think my brother Eric Gordon gonna get 13.5 for sure. You dig it?
7 dunks. 7 alley-oop dunks.
Yes, sir. Second leg, we going to the Hollywood Lakers. You dig it? Rui, the Rooster, Hachimura. I'm going with him over 14.5 points tonight. He low-key been one of their motors, you dig it? Like, when he's playing good, they're playing good.
I mean, why you laughing?
Tonight,
Why you laughing at
Because I know Juju made that up right now on the spot.
Rooster?
The Rooster.
the Rooster? Hell yeah. You feel me?
Reminded me of
I'm
your
in the
dad.
booth.
I reminded me of your dad. Your dad would just create these nicknames for people.
The Rooster gonna definitely get 14.5 points tonight, dog. When he playing good, the LA Lakers are playing phenomenal. And for the last leg, I'm gonna stick with those Lakers. Luka Vandross, aka Hookah Doncic. The world is all over him right now, thinking that, man, they doing so good. They're the victors in the trade. Well, I think my boy Luka Doncic, a.k.a. Luka Vandross, will not get 26.5 points tonight. I'm going under on Luka Doncic.
Under.
26.5 points tonight, Daddy. You got to dig it.
Dan, what did your dad used to call James Harden? He had a funny nickname for
The
him.
running beard. It wasn't the most creative of nicknames, but he called him that for 6 straight years.
Straight to the point.
Juju, your thoughts on today's show? The audience's thoughts on today's show. It was a bit of a grind today. I saw Jessica yawning several times. I saw Amin looking at his watch. It seems like a lot of people were inattentive today.
Mike wasn't looking.
Alex from Twitter, AL19, he says, Dan is very clearly the evil cat and not Billy Gill.
Wow.
And I agree, brother. Nobody saw Amin looking at his watch except the shit stirrer himself. With all that shit stirrery you be stirring. You, sir, are a shit stirrer.
All right. I put the turd and shit stirrer at Batard Show. Put it on the poll. Is Dan a shit stirrer? I've been accused. The final word has been spoken. Yeah, it's been a show construct for 20 years. I'm stunned that you guys just noticed it. Where you been?
It works.
Yeah. Like, where you guys? I could keep denying it if you want, but it would seem silly. I've been doing that for 20 years. Any other commentary?
Okay, the buzzer beater from Brother Last Night, which we made the sound effects on. I think that sound effect sounds like Jose Altuve in the dugout realizing that a fastball is on the way.
the trash can?
The hitting of the trash can. Let's play that sound again.
Gillespie for three. Goal or no. Holloman looks the clock. Half court for the win. Oh! Oh, my goodness. Holloman from
1,000%, Juju.
That's so good.
Right down the middle. Also, Podcast P retiring mid-season. That's the Chris Paul meme when he hits a big three, cuts the lead to 42. The Sixers are terrible. You should have done this back in August, brother. But salute, much power to my brother Paul George.
That seems insincere. Salute and much power. After filing the criticism that everyone else is filing, there's no one taking the other side on this, right? Paul George, there's just jokes here. There's no one supporting Paul George, hitting him on the back and saying, that's a wise move and a good sacrifice for you to make on behalf of your team.
Like, if he had just not said the word championship, if he said, I got to get my body right and I want to close the season stronger, we would have been like, man, this is a little too late, but like, okay.
Help my team try to make the playoffs.
Not even that.
The play-in tournament?
Not even that.
You can't even mention what a goal would be. Just I want to get right and help these guys finish the season strong.
Just trying to finish the season strong, and I need to get my body right, my mind right. That's it. The moment he start introducing team goals, because it's like, what the hell? What are you talking about?
Yeah, but that's where he needs to prove that dropping the podcast is worth it. I mean, he needs to show what his goals are, because if it was just, I got to get my body right, who cares?
Or just not, also you don't have to announce anything.
Just stop like Duncan Robinson did.
Yeah.
Duncan Robinson just stopped doing his podcast.
Episodes.
We all had to ask a year later, hey, what happened to that?
Yeah.
Right. It made the loss against the Knicks last night sting a little more. 9 in a row.
We didn't talk at all about the Pistons today, beating the Celtics by 20 last night. The Celtics being that far behind Cleveland surprises me even after a championship hangover. Like that, no one saw that one coming. I mean, Cleveland the Pistons are better than most people thought they were. They're a young team. They're a fun team. But the idea that Cleveland is, whatever it is, 9 games up in the conference on Boston, none of us had that.
No, I mean, we thought they would be better than they were last year. A lot of people, myself included, have a great respect for Coach Atkinson, but even he didn't. Like, I talked to him All-Star Weekend, he was like, absolutely didn't see this coming. Had no idea. Like, I thought,
look at me, Leroy.
Thank you, jeez.
Look at me, Leroy.
Name drop.
Wait, hold
Leroy,
on.
what's going on here, man? Hey.
Hold on.
Oh.
Famously Black Louis.
Louis
Armstrong.
Yeah.
There are white Leroys.
Satchmo.
Name one.
Leroy Neiman.
Never
Got
heard
your
of him.
ass.
The famous photographer.
I think
Thought you were talking about Leonard Nimoy.
Yeah, that's what I thought too. I was like, Dan, you messed it up again.
The way
Where
I
did
was
Look at
talking
Me
about,
Leroy come from? I thought Mike hit that wandering around the studio. You were saying, Juju.
the way I was also talking about Kevin Durant earlier, I feel like that's a smidgen off, you dig? Because I don't see him as a failure. I think it's some of what Mike is talking about with Lionel Messi. Here in America, we've been conditioned to say that, well, if he doesn't win the MLS championship, he must be a failure. Well, I like to point y'all attention back to last summer. Team USA versus Serbia changed my entire life. Everybody who on that Team USA roster is a winner to me, a champion. I don't give a damn. Joel Embiid is a winner to me, you feel me? Some of these things are just, that means so much to other people around the world. We got other people celebrating the fact that they made it to the group stage, for the first time since the 40s. South Sudan, you feel me? They did a great job. I think that was to be commended. So I feel like if we look at the scope through those lenses, I think that Kevin Durant is definitely a winner. You dig it?
Oh, did anyone call him a loser? I don't. Did anybody here call him a loser?
Dan tried to project that on us while he was stirring shit, but I think we all pushed back and said, no, it's a tale of what if. Yeah. What could have been?
I don't believe.
And we also gave him Olympic gold flowers.
Put that wooden spoon down. You're not going to stir. It's the Ofos game now.
All right,
Juju. What else you got?
No plastic spoon.
Yeah, man. And like y'all said, with Timothy Chalamet, man, people gonna hate on greatness, man. It just highlights their mediocrity. You know what I mean? They're going through their days thinking that, man, I wish I could do this, but I'm not as secure as I want to be at this. So, yeah, let me tear down the brother Timothy Chalamet. Absolutely not here in my household. I salute that brother. I think his words are so encouraging and to get behind. You feel me?
I feel, though, like your salute has been diluted by putting it after Paul George criticism.
Yeah,
yeah, you're right.
Podcast
What are the polls you're updating today?
Can a laugh lose a step? 86% of the audience says yes, it can. And so can salutes lose a step. Dang it.
The 14% didn't watch the show.
I mean, Stugatz's laugh, there's something about it. What is the sound of Stugatz's laugh that makes it sound less vibrant? Like it's
more hollow now.
It's just been
cigarettes.
It's just been used too much. Where is he, by the way? Because I thought he was in Australia on Operation Boomerang, Bloomin' Onion, and then I saw a picture of him in Syracuse.
Yeah. You know how boomerangs work, Dan? You throw them and they come right back.
They end up in Syracuse?
He literally told you. He called a shot, did it, and we're like, how did he do that?
I think he's now in Australia, though. He says he's buying a digital media company in Australia. Do we have any other polls we're updating?
Absolutely.
The chicken tender one in the gas station really hit a nerve where a lot of people throughout the South are telling you they get the most delicious chicken tenders you can get at a gas station.
You also
that one had a lot of votes.
You guys didn't pick up on why he brought it up, because I was listening to the interview. He brought it up because Justin Tucker was like an endorser for this gas station chicken, I guess.
But then he said how delicious it was.
Yeah, but then like he editorialized. Yeah, absolutely.
Here's a poll from yesterday. The last poll we didn't update. Can you trademark slap dick? 61% of the audience says no, you cannot trademark that, sir. At all.
Just 61?
The only guest we had today, Michael Costa, made a slapdick reference. Do you think it's because he was listening to the show, or one of his publicists just gave him the line to help him out there?
Well, he mentioned that he was a fan of Jessica's prior to that, so it made me think that he was listening to our show.
I like to think he's a fan of the
he
show.
called Michael by the first name. He said Michael, you dig? So I think he was locked in.
Yeah, and think about his environment too. Roy Wood is a friend. He's probably seen Roy Wood stuff. Ronnie Chang is also a friend of the show.
I don't assume that people on The Daily Show are listening to this. I assumed a publicist gave him that to sell book.
He also had that great line about the WTA.
Have you ever been so embarrassed that your feet began to sweat? 53% of the audience says yes. Jeremy, you know what I mean.
Oh yeah.
Is Hoosiers Gene Hackman's top 10? The movie Hoosiers. 80% of the audience says yes, Hoosiers is in Gene Hackman's top 10 movies.
Dorks.
Which do you fear the most for an athlete you love? Eating too much or too much beer and hookah? 57% of the audience says eating too much. Sheesh. I wouldn't have guessed that.
You're disagreeing with that. Why? You're with me on beer and hookah seeming to be something that will make an athlete's performance deteriorate by 1 degree?
Yes, look at Amina Hassan over there. He can't barely get through walking across the street without falling over. Did you know Max Scherzer was a Blue Jay? 68% of the audience says no, they did not. and those are your pose.
You guys had no reaction whatsoever to an athlete saying in 2025, wailing and gnashing, "Can we just be judged by humans?" It's such a great quote.
The end of times, Dan.
It's the height of winter, but it's also a great time to gather with friends and enjoy some Miller Lite. That's right. Miller Lite has the taste you know you can depend on. No games, no gimmicks, just that beautiful white can and a great tasting beer for people like you and me who love the taste of beer. Because Miller Lite is brewed for taste. It hits different than other light beers with simple ingredients like malted barley for rich, balanced toffee note flavors and that iconic golden color that we all know and love. And here's the most important part for me. I mean, I like all the things, but 96 calories and just 3.2 carbs per 12 ounces, Miller Time is always a good time. The original light beer since 1975 and still the very best one. Miller Lite, great taste, 96 calories. Go to MillerLite.com/Dan to find delivery options near you, or you can pick up some Miller Lite pretty much anywhere they sell beer. Tastes like Miller Time. Celebrate responsibly. Miller Brewing Company, Milwaukee, Wisconsin, 96 calories and 3.2 carbs per 12 ounces.